Hello, today I'm going to explain you how to repair your kite. My kite has this valve unstitched, so I want to repair it. In order to do so, you'll need a bar, because I use one line as a guide to put the bladder in again. You'll need this talcum powder. The most important part is this glue, which is Patex, and in Spain it's called transparent, especially for these types of plastic, and a pump, because once we have finished, we have to check that everything is correctly repaired. So let's start. The first thing is that you have to remove all the velcros and all the things your kite has. For example, this one has one velcro in each part, one here and one on the other side, and then you'll have to remove all the wampums, all these tubes, so that later the bladder can flow throughout this leading edge. So as I was saying, you have to take one line, and here in SPLEENE kites you have a circle here throughout which you can put the line. Then you make a knot, any knot, so that you don't miss this line, which is a guide for you. So it's very important to fasten this knot. I hope this works. And once you have this, then the next step is to unassemble the wampum. Now, how to remove the wampum tube from the bladder? It's just pressure. So you have to try to put this black circle inside the leading edge by doing pressure this way. Once you have this, you have to remove this tube, and then all the bladder will be free. Okay, once you have this, you have to be very careful with the zipper, because if not, you'll damage the bladder. And then you have to start carefully pulling out all the bladder. Well, as I was saying, I use Patex transparent, and it says that you have to put the glue in both surfaces. You have to wait for 15 minutes so you can go to have a drink, and once these 15 minutes are over, you have to press both surfaces for 3 seconds, and then magic happens, and hopefully both surfaces will be sticked together again. Unglue all the surface you think you may need. That would help you to glue the valve again, because if not, the glue would not work properly. So for me, I think it's enough this way. So now what I have to do is to apply glue in both surfaces, yep, and then wait for 15 minutes. So let's do it. So yeah, you have to put a lot of glue in both surfaces, more or less this way. When you are done, you just have to wait for 15 minutes. This is the key, so that you don't harm the bladder. So once you have glued the valve again, you have to put a lot of this on the bladder, and once you have to put it this way. There's no magic in it, it's just that over all the bladder. And once you have put a piece of it, because I'm going to do it in some steps, now you have to come to the line, this line, and you have to pull it. Once we have put all the bladder inside the leading edge, what we have to do now is to put these bulbs back in their original position. Don't be afraid, because you'll have to pull them, but you won't break them again, hopefully. So it's just pulling them, and well, it's tricky and you have to be patient. Okay, once we have the valve in here, we have to pump the kite to check if the bladder is properly inside the leading edge or if it's turned. To do so, instead of reassembling all this back, I prefer to put a little of this tape in here and then to pump the leading edge. This way, if I have to repeat the process again because I haven't put the bladder properly inside, I won't have to disassemble that and reassemble that again. That's why I'm using this tape. And well, it's just putting a little in here and then pumping. Now let's start pumping with this incredible pump by Aeolian, which is double. Well, you don't have to make a huge effort. Let's pump quite carefully to check if the bladder is turned out or not. Now I have checked that all the leading edge is even, that we don't have a zone in which there's no pressure, because if we had that zone, this would mean that the bladder inside is that way. In that case, you'll have to repeat all the process again. You'll have to pull out the bladder and then pull it in again. But now, as it's even, this means it's okay. I've been lucky. And the last thing I have to do now is to remember I didn't assemble that because I had to check that, well, this sound is because of the tape. And the next step is to just assemble that again, and we'll be done, we'll be ready to kite. Good luck, bye bye.